right, let's do it. I'm ready, you guys. I'm full steam ahead down here, you guys. If you have any ideas or you guys have been testing stuff, as everyone on this call, I'm sure, we started in November implementing our new stuff, and we're still implementing new things that are working. So if you guys have stuff that's working, let's talk about it, and we can test it, and then we can share it with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, and also if anybody wants to follow the 60-day challenge, it was out on TikTok. The whole 60 days started. It was November 1st through the last day. There's each day of a step. If anybody's watching us, go to my TikTok account, watch it. There's one every day. Follow them. They're there. But Dre, are we waiting for Peter? We starting?
Yep, I'm trying to help him log in right now.
Yeah, we're waiting for Pete, Dennis. I think we're waiting for Mitch.
Where's Mitch at?
That's what I'm saying.
I said
They're on there.
Cameron, how about we just start?
Yeah.
Since you're on fire. I mean, we
suggest
know
that
the
we
topic.
start.
We don't need them to start. Let's get going, man.
That's up to you guys. I'm not the boss.
Mhm.
All right, rocks, paper, scissors. Who says? Rocks, paper, scissors, in.
Go.
All right.
We can start going, you guys. I think today we're going to be talking about getting business going for the new year. I know a lot of our buyers agents are slowing down. That's kind of, I believe, the overall idea. If you guys had a different idea, tell me right now, but I know that's what we had pre-planned. So does anyone want to step up and kind of talk about what they're doing or what they're suggesting to their buyers agents specifically to really get their business going, get stuff moving? Because I know a lot of buyers agents really are slowing down, and my team especially too. Down here, we're feeling it. I'm sure everyone else here on the panel is feeling it. So what are we doing, or what are we doing that's on top of that can bring in some extra business?
Are we gearing this specifically to buyers agents?
No, that was something we're not, but I do know that my buyers agents have been on me. So let's gear it towards overall.
Ramping your business
up.
for 2023.
There you go. Ramp up 2023.
Well, I can tell you a few things that I've done. In December, we spent an hour and a half sitting down one-on-one with every single one of the agents on my team. We came up with the goals. We don't do just goals. In fact, in my coaching, I have a program that I do every year called No More New Year's Resolutions. And essentially, we're not making a New Year's resolution that we want to lose 20 pounds next week or month, or we want to go to the gym. We're putting together a plan, and the plan includes everything that they're going to do, and how do you, and it's not just the plan, it's how do you implement it. So we have, and my director of operations has helped me with this. We don't have goals. We have 3 goals. First of all, every team member has a goal. Every team member has a stretch goal. Every team member has what we call a Mamma Mia goal, right? Our team broke the Mamma Mia goal for volume last year. Okay. As you know, I mean, we were on schedule to do well over 300 million. We ended up at 260 million, even with the downturn, right? And so if you have a goal, the problem is sometimes you hit a goal in September, and then you have a stretch goal and you hit that in November. And then what do? You take the rest of the year off? No, that's where the Mamma Mia goal is. So that's a couple things that we've done. The other thing is we are holding our team and especially our buyers agents accountable. We are having them every single Friday send in us how many appointments were met or set, how many appointments were met, how many properties did you put under contract and closed, how many contacts have you made, not phone calls, but how many times did you call somebody and they said hello. We have 18,000, I think we just updated 18,851 people in our Boomtown account, right? So we're making them become accountable with all of these things. Nobody likes accountability. Every one of us needs it, me included. In fact, what I'm doing in my business is I'm scheduling and time blocking out. I'm spending time on attraction. I'm spending time on getting listings. I'm spending time on doing the business. And I'm also scheduling in a week or a long weekend and a week's vacation every month and a 3-week vacation once a year. I'm putting it in my schedule. The thing is, I always say this, if this is, Mitch, if this is the direction we want to go, but our activities are over here, how do we meet our goal? We don't meet our goal until our activities match up to what our goal is, right?
100%.
So that's what we've done. The other thing is that we're doing a lot of stuff. I've been helping Matt and his team. I've helped Pete and Dennis and their teams on why to buy now, and we got that whole program. In fact, it might even be worthwhile for us to do that program for buyers agents. Matt or Pete, if you guys want to speak to that, I would be willing to do that on one of these calls. But it is a 35-minute presentation. But the other thing that we did is we're starting to come up with some scripts to help our buyers agents. And so Cameron, this one is, so if you look at Zillow, Realtor.com in Utah, if you look at the people that are the economists, you look at all that, there's a lot of people that are saying that our market, nobody is predicting prices to fall off the cliff. And so with our buyers agents, we just have come up with a new script. So I'm just going to tell you what it is. So Cameron, we're going to role play just a minute. Say,
let's do it.
I think I want to wait until the spring or summer to buy. Okay. So Cameron, so we've looked at these properties. Tell me, what do you think?
David, it looks great. Everything looks good, but I still think we're going to hold off until maybe a little later on in the year, maybe spring or summer.
Oh, you're thinking of waiting till spring or summer? We have heard that so many times with so many clients, but can I share with you what we're doing right now?
Yeah,
what
sure.
What we're doing is we are suggesting to all of our sellers to wait until the spring or summer to sell because we think prices are going to go up. But as far as the buyers are concerned, we're suggesting that that they buy now. And what we know is, one thing I know, being in the business for 3 years or 10 years or 30 years, like me, whatever it is, whatever you say, what we know for sure is that there is a massive amount of people that are thinking just like you. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that they're waiting. So if right now there's a few people that are buying, but in the spring or summer, there is a massive amount of buyers going to be there. And you know what I'm afraid of? That we're going to go back to multiple offers. We're going to go back to people paying too much and all that. So that's the reason. So based on that, what do you think? Do you think you want to go ahead and write the offer on 123 Main Street? I know it's the property that you like the best, and I think you're going to make a really good decision.
Great. Yeah. And if it keeps us out of that multiple offer thing, then I can see how that would be advantageous.
Yeah. Oh, I can't agree. I think one of the hardest things that we went through was 2 years of having 5 and 10 and 20 offers. And right now, and when there's multiple offers, we know a few things. You got to start giving up things. You got to go with overprice or full price. If you're trying to get a loan, you can get beat out with cash offers. If it's really hard to negotiate. A lot of times we're not able to negotiate repairs. That the offer comes back accepted, but we're not giving you a penny for any repairs, or there's so many things that we have to give up. And right now we can give you all of those things and make this a big, huge advantage to you. So I think you're right on track. I think you're doing the right thing. Let's go ahead. I'll send you over the offer and we'll get started. Okay.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
So the thing is it is something that we need to practice with our team, role play, and you do it. So I'm gonna pick on Matt here for a minute. Matt, with the presentation that we did with your team, are they using it? How's it working? Tell us.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be great for you do that here on this call 1 week soon, number one. And one thing that I've added to that, and I wanted to mention, I love what you just said, but what I always find is a really good way to teach buyers, especially buyers, is with stories. So telling them a story like, let me give you an example. We just had a listing on, 123 Main Street. Model match closed a month ago for $1,495,000. We got this buyer in at $1,265,000. $1,265,000 model match, had a view. This buyer is getting in for $200,000 less. And that's happening right now because we were in December. It's very slow. So, telling people stories about, we did this for this buyer, we did this for this buyer. And if you don't have a story, you can use somebody else's story, right? In your office or on your team or whatever. But stories, when, every buyer wants a deal. And so buyers right now are going to pull the trigger on listings where they can get a deal. And so telling people stories about, going through the presentation, David, that you did is incredible, but adding to that an example of how it worked out really well for a buyer is huge. And so we just did one where that was exactly the scenario. There was a model match closed $1,495,000, and we got this buyer in at it was $1,268,000. And then we negotiate them a $12,000 credit for, miscellaneous repairs that you could never ask for 2 years ago. Right.
Exactly.
Or you couldn't even ask for them 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with, and I want to touch upon this, you guys. Happy New Year, everyone. It's going to be a dynamite year. Matt's dead on. I mean, you have to tell success stories, and you have to really be excited and guide these people, because right now they're hearing on the national news all this negativity that it's not the right time to buy and housing's getting crushed and it's going to go down. You don't have to lie. You don't have to say, hey, I think it's going to rise or go up. I mean, it's all based on the market. But I think if you tell success stories and keep piling it on how we were able to help our clients negotiate and get a better deal or get a better rate and break down the numbers, it takes all the obstacles away in that path of them holding off or saying, I'm going to wait, because fear makes you wait. Right. And that's what everybody's got to understand. And when you take fear away and you really map it out through storytelling and sharing with them and helping them visualize on where they want to be and where they're trying to go, that's the key to the whole thing. You have to be on top of that and really share that, because people are going to test you. They're going to say, hey, where do you see the market going? And you have to say, something, I don't know exactly where it's going yet, but we have a good understanding where it is right now. And this is what we can do. And I don't know if it'll work for you or not, but let me share a couple stories with you on what we've done recently and all the success we've had that we wouldn't have had 6 or 12 months ago, and just explain the differences. And I think if you do that, you bridge that gap, that'll make a huge difference in getting somebody motivated to make a move instead of being completely paralyzed and waiting for the bottom to drop off because they think they're going to get a foreclosure in the neighborhood they want. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Let me throw something onto that real quick, because this is a phenomenal subject because it's happening every day, right? So I just want to give you what I'm observing on the same subject matter. I don't want to forget, because me, ADD, maybe we'll forget to talk about it. Is first of all, we have a whole generation who think 3% is a normal rate, right? You have a whole generation of realtors that think 3% is a normal rate.
Yes.
Right? So here's what I've been telling people, and the light bulb goes off every time I tell it. And I actually stole this from Facebook, but I saw this somewhere else. If you bought a house for $450,000 house in May, you paid $500,000 for that house. You started with negative $50,000 equity, and at 3%, you were at $2,800 a month approximately. If you bought that same house today, you're at $425,000, even though we're under 6 right now. I know that we're under, it's 6.5%. You're starting off with plus 25% equity, and your payment's $2,900. So you're paying $100 more a month for the same house that you would have bought, but you're not having multiple offers. You're not having, so this is the best time we've had in the past 6 months to buy a house, by far.
That's part of what my whole presentation is, Mitch.
Yeah, that is Dave's presentation, which is great. And the other thing, and I didn't mean to interrupt Dave, but I just want to touch upon what Mitch just said. You're getting a $25,000 bonus up front. That's real equity, right? And that's how you have to break it down to people, because everybody's caught up on these rates. Get away from the rate. You know, we're not marrying the rate. We're marrying the house. Date the rate.
Yeah, that's the saying that I have, right? Everybody write this down. Tell your buyer's agents, you marry the home and you date the rate. And we have scenarios where the break-even point right now from buying it 9 months ago to today, it's between 10 and 14 years with a higher interest rate. And who is going to keep a mortgage at the rates they are for 10 years? Say nobody, no one, zero, right? So yeah, you save a ton of money, and you very likely are saving down payment money because of appraisal gaps. We're not having appraisal gaps anymore. I mean, there's so many reasons. And so we'll talk, Pete and Mitch, Dennis, I'll get with you guys and we'll talk about doing a quick presentation in a few weeks.
Another part of that, just when I learned this from you, Pete, actually, because actually Pete's actually much smarter than he looks. I know I can't do anything without making a stupid joke. It's just I can't do it. But is if you're listing, don't list the price, list the payment. And I learned that from you, Pete. And in this market, that is brilliant because people think rates went from 3% to 6%, that the prices doubled, their payment doubled. It didn't double, right? And so if you say, look, you can have this house for $2,500 a month. Now that's what we were thinking about spending. So it becomes a whole different thing than seeing the house is $650,000, whatever that number is. So I just want to throw that because it's all in dealing with how do you educate your customer on the pricing right now. And you don't need to talk about rate. It's not about, nobody cares about rate if you show them the payment. If the payment's affordable, they'll buy the house.
Yeah.
I agree, you guys. That's great. Yeah, Pete, you want to take over?
Sorry, I said, Mitch, thanks for the acknowledgement. The big thing is this year, you guys, is going to be the year of the payment. Payments are key. Payments are going to be what drives people, what drives them to make decisions or not make decisions. You have to show the tax benefits. You have to understand how all that works. That's what we're in this year. There's no more, here's the price, do you want to buy it? Or does it work for you? Or somebody was walking down the street and, in Park City where Dave Lawson is, he's the luxury legend there, and they fell over Dave and said, oh my God, I tripped over you. Can I buy this house or will you sell me a mansion? It's not going to happen that way. You're going to have to really work with people and advise them and break down payments and break down rates. Because when you break those things down, it breaks down the barriers of resistance and it breaks down the fear of them moving forward in living in making their dreams come true, right? That's what we have to do. We got to bridge that gap. It's going to be a phenomenal year. I mean, the people that really commit themselves this year, there's going to be huge opportunity to take advantage of.
Hey, Pete, I shared something, a screenshot. I just went to Mortgage Daily News, mortgagenewsdaily.com, right? That's where I always go to check. And it's cool because you can go on the timeline there, right? And see what interest rates were at any given point in the past. So I went to about April 20th. And if I recall correctly, April was kind of like the peak in San Diego, right? The rate then for 30-year fixed conventional was 5.45, okay? And people were still battling for properties at that point with rate in the mid fives. Right now, the rate is at 6.4. It's 1% higher. Think about this. It's 1% higher. We were at a peak in April and people were submitting multiple offers on listings, even at 5.5. If you bring up that story, like Matt was saying, or Bobby, right? Bring up that story, give him that example, but then show him the difference. Like Pete was saying, show him, look, that same house that someone bought in April of 2022, right, at 5.5 interest rate, look, now they're buying this house at X, right, $100,000 or $50,000 less. And yes, the interest rate is 6.5, but what if I tell you that I can actually even work on getting, I can't promise this to you, however, I can tell you this is very common. And then again, share a story where I can buy down the rate from 6.5 to 5.5. Wouldn't that be attractive? Not only you're getting the same house for 50, 100, or whatever the market is showing less, but you're also getting the same rate as someone had in April of 2022. How would that look? And then, then you show the bottom line, the payment, like P was saying, and it's almost like a cherry on top, right? They're like, holy cow, like I can't tell you how many buyers still don't know to this day that we are allowed and able to ask the seller to buy down the rate. Don't assume they know this information just because we talk about it, right? Anyway, so I wanted to share that screenshot because it's so clear, right? Like so like when Matt said, like, if you don't have a story, well, use data to create a story, right? It's pretty simple. So I'll stop.
No, that's a good point. And the other thing I want to add to that is, know not only the rates, but know what the buy downs are. Know what the points get you guys. Know how to explain points. We've gone from being salespeople to being advisors when it comes to advising people how to manage their monthly payments and what they're spending and how to get the American dream. It's a huge responsibility, so don't take it lightly. And just to add on to what Randy was talking about, and him and I are in the same market in San Diego, here's another thing that you can touch upon. The conforming loan limits throughout the United States were just all raised. So that's a huge benefit to people. So conforming in San Diego, I think, went from 863 to 990. That's a huge jump, right? And that gives them more buying power. So you want to explain that and the benefits and how it affects other buyers that will be competing with them in their marketplace or where they're trying to buy. The whole thing to selling real estate in 2023 is going to be creating excitement in the fear of missing out. If you're really good at doing the takeaway and saying, look, if you don't act now, you're going to miss an opportunity to get into the house you want with the most advantages and the best way to really leverage it, then they're going to miss the boat, because otherwise they're not going to be motivated to do anything. Every single thing is going to send them off course. You have to keep them on course and hold their hand and walk them through it.
Yep.
Hey, Pete,
that's it.
I'm going to throw a twist here a second. We were talking about how to get people off the line. Mark Twain had a great quote: when everybody else is going left, you should go right. All right.
Yeah.
We all get caught in that quagmire of following. Just because somebody's jumping off a bridge, does that mean we all do it? No. All these examples are great. And then all of these examples, we're talking about buyers, but take all these examples and let's put it into going to a listing appointment. And let's all of a sudden talk to that seller who's now just not listening with Tom, Dick, and Harry, who's going to throw the home up. They're looking for who's going to be the best consultant. And again, notice what I changed, as Pete had used in the past. We don't have commissions. We have professional fees. We're no longer in sales. We were taxi drivers and in sales. Now we're true consultants. You need to know your shit. Sorry, horse shit is a legal word, so I'll say that. So I tried not to do it. So bottom line is you need to know your stuff. So the bottom line is when you're going out there, you got to think you're the consultant. You got to know and have the confidence of your consultant, but don't just tell the seller how great you are. You need to show your added value in how you're thinking, how you're working with buyers, and how you can consult the other agent to ultimately want to get them to buy the house and ultimately to make it work.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to do. You got to show your added value now and where it's at. So this is a year of empowerment of yourself and magicalness for your clients. It depends on how you're going to look at it. Empowering and magical, this is 2023. The past is a story, the future's unknown. We only got here, be in the present, and we're there. So just as an idea, take all of this and twist it to a seller or a listing presentation, and you'd be surprised at what you'll get on a seller going, and aha, they know more than everybody else.
No, I
Well,
think that's a
Greg,
good point.
I tell people that, you know, there's a quote from a guy that I know, he's made a little money in his lifetime. His name is Warren Buffett, and you know what his quote is? Be fearful when others are bold, and when others are bold, be fearful, right? So you know, as we were talking, so Cameron, you know, I think you're doing exactly the right thing by buying 123 Main Street right now, because what's happening is everybody else wants to wait. And the people, you know, if it was Warren Buffett, he would be saying, do the opposite of what the masses are doing. And, you know, last time I checked, he's doing okay, right? It's using a story, it's using a quote. Stories sell. And I also say that stories sell, but you know what else sells? Questions. So I'm going to give you an example. Cameron, so let me ask you a question. If right now there's only a very few people in our marketplace buying, but in the spring and summer, that number goes up by a multiple or an X of 2 or 3 or 5X, what do you think is going to happen to the prices and our ability to negotiate for you?
Well, yeah,
See,
I mean, if more people come in, if more people come in town, it has to go, the price will go higher, right?
Right. So see, everybody, what happens is when they have this mindset that they're going to wait, they think that prices are going to come down. Ultimately, do any of us on this call know if prices are going to go up or down in the next week or day or month or year? No, right? But what I tell people is use outside sources, right? You know, Pete had a, you know, I flew to San Diego and I listened to the Economist guy. What was his name that was so good?
Alan Nevin.
Alan Nevin. I went to that and he's like, hey, you know, the demand is, you know, we have so much demand with so little supply that makes it. I mean, I use a story, you know, I was a business and economics major. It was 40 years ago. I don't remember much about real estate, but I remember this one thing called what? Supply and demand, right? If the demand is up here and the supply is down here, when are prices going to go down? Right? So teach your buyer's agents to ask good questions. And the other thing is, what I love about asking questions is you're not telling them something, you're getting their opinion, right? And the other thing is when you're talking to them, I like to say, so, you know, so Cameron, you know what the sellers are thinking? I mean, what are your concerns? And so Cameron says, well, what are your concerns, Cameron? Let's list them. Interest rates, the economy, what else?
Yeah, price. That'd be number one, obviously. Price, terms, concerns of moving in. We're global economy. What the markets are doing. Can we get it better later?
Yeah.
Can
the war in Ukraine,
the war,
inflation, right? And so this is where Warren Buffett would say, well, that's where we're going to take advantage of that. But you know what we know? You are thinking of that, but guess who else is thinking about that? You know, the seller of 123 Main Street, I can guarantee you he's thinking. So when we come in and we write an offer at X, he's very likely going to be looking at it. Now, if he has 15 showings in a week in June, what do you think? And then we bring an offer. What do you think how do you think he's going to, counter offer to us, right? So it's not just about stories, gang. It's about stories and it's about asking great questions.
That's great.
No.
I think one thing I want to say, just because I have ADD brain too, I think in my mind, what you're trying to say, and I'm sure all of us on the panel get it, but to simplify it is ask questions and lead them down the road that you want them to go with the questions that you're asking. Make sure you always know the answer to every question that you ask, because remember you're talking with them, but you want to make sure that, and you're leading them down the path that you want them to go, like you were saying, with the proper questions.
Yeah,
absolutely. Randy, you haven't chimed in. I really want, we're killing this meeting, guys. We had so much to talk about. What are your get going for 2023 top things?
Oh, you asking me? Did you say
I'm
Randy?
asking you,
Oh.
man. Yeah, that's
Oh,
you.
okay. Well, for me though, I think it kind of things we started talking about at the end of last year. I'm really creating a lot more structure in my life, even though, you know, I do have a 19-month-old and another one on the way. I'm going to figure it out where I can have a little bit more structure, stick to my themes for the days that I spoke about in the last year of how I kind of structure my weeks. So I'm off to a good start. I know it's early, but hey, I'm winning right now. I'm winning. And another thing, actually December, I literally got probably the most client leads that came my way. Like within like a 2-week period, I got 7 clients, 5 listings, 2 buyers. But because I was available, I was responsive. They all, you know, most of them wanted to wait to get things moving in January, but they were thinking about it in December, right? So I made sure that I, you know, warmed them up, talked to them, had a consultation, got listing agreements signed, got everything ready for the buyers as far as their wish list, pre-approval. So we took the time in December to really get them up and ready for January takeoff, right? So now we're in that phase. Now I'm re-engaging them much stronger, right? And saying, okay, let's get going, right? So now we're scheduling showings with buyers. We're getting the listings ready to go on the market. So January is going to be actually busy for myself personally, for my personal business, which is good because this is the things we talk about. Like, don't take your foot off the pedal in December. There's a lot of people thinking about what the heck they're going to do with their real estate goals, right? If they're selling, if they're buying. So it was very evident, and it was pretty eye-opening how it kind of worked out, like boom, and like within 2 weeks. So a lot of my effort is going to that with my team member Jessica, who's kind of like my right-hand agent. My investor clients, some of them purposely are waiting, right, to list their homes end of this week, beginning of next week, right? Because if they're finishing a rehab, honestly, December 15th, like you might not want to list it at that point, right? That was even my advice to them. Let's just give it, you know, let's wait. Doesn't mean you won't potentially get an offer, but I think we'll have better type of offers and buyers looking at your properties first, second week of January on. So I have, you know, 2 or 3 of those coming on the market as well in that. So that's kind of where my efforts are going. And then, so that's the business side, that's like active business. And then on planning purposes, I have continued meetings. I'm going to have like a 2-hour meeting with my right-hand agent, Jessica, to really implement the things that we are already discussing last year as far as business plan wise, and really kind of put the foot on the pedal on that end. So one thing I want to do is really re-engage with my sphere, where we actually call them with checking in with them, with and adding value adds, like, hey, checking in, kind of like, I think Bobby talked about this, like, hey, you know, I looked up the property that we helped you buy. It looks like you still own it in your personal name. You know, I met with an attorney the other day, and I have a trust, and I noticed you don't have a trust. Have you thought about having, you know, creating a trust to put your house in? And then just get into conversations with my past clients about things outside of just calling them like, hey, do you have a referral? Like, I just think that's cheesy, right? So these are the things that we're going to be doing, right, going forward now, when people are going to be eager to pick up the phone a little bit more when instead of when they're on vacation, checked out. So yeah, we're implementing that schedule. What are the things we're going to actually reach out and talk to them about? Some of the things are in California, solar is a big thing. So we're going to reach out about solar. I just had a client install solar, like literally in December. So I can use that as a case study that's very recent. And just, again, how do I bring value to my past clients? And then of course, ask at the end, hey, if you have anybody that's looking to buy or sell, so we will ask for it, but I don't want to lead with it. You're muted, Cameron.
Yeah. That was a lot of info. So you went kind of back and forth there on us. I love that you're meeting with your buyer's agent, you're holding them accountable. I think for everyone that's on this call as a participant that maybe isn't a big team leader, that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to set them apart, especially coming into the new year, is holding yourself accountable, being consistent and doing the work. And if you have obviously your upline or your team lead that will help you and work with you, that's great too. But if you have nobody, you really need to go out, find somebody that you can be accountable with. You can work together. You can both hold each other accountable. Huge, you guys. As the market gets tougher and as you know, you're not having a minute every minute. You're not having a success like we were in February. It's good to have that accountability. The ability to have people that are also having successes like we are to keep you going. Bobby Martins, you've been over
Cameron,
there
real
so
quick.
peacefully. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Number thing. Improve the way you
Always.
do business by 1% more each day. You will have a 38% increase by the end of the year. Do what you
Say that again.
do.
Say it again.
a
Say it
little
again.
bit
Say
better.
that one more time, Craig. 1% a day is how much?
Increase what you do 1% better every day. You will ultimately have a 38% growth over the end of the year doing the same, just by the 1%, 1%. But here's the difference. If you do 1% less, you'll have almost a 1,500 times loss the other way. There's a guy, I think it's Chris Hendricks, whatever it may be, that has the algorithm out there. It's crazy. It's the multiplication and discipline of one. All of us know what we're doing. We're all just avoiders. And the second we get out of looking at everybody else as the problem, that we're the problem, is when we can do it. Be more consistent this year, be more disciplined this year, be more committed, and you'll be amazed at what happens. We know what we're doing. Even if you're brand new in here, you know how to do sales. You knew how to convince your parents you wanted a cookie instead of eating green beans. Do it the same way. Fight for that sale like you want a cookie, not green beans, and you will work totally different. Sorry for interruption. I just wanted to throw that.
No, that's it. You're totally right. Is that when your mindset changes, it comes into a habit. You're doing it because it's a habit. You're not doing it because it's work and you have to do it. The best story that I always tell all my new agents is working out in the morning. You know, everyone knows you have to do it or you should do it. It gets you going. It stays healthy. But most people will do it for a month or 2 months and then they fall off. But if you can get on a tracker where at the end of the year, you can look at your progress pics and you can see that you're doing 40 pounds at the start of the year and you're doing 120 now, it completely changes your idea on working out. It changes from, oh, I have to do this, to I'm excited to go do this. I'm ready to transform myself, or for, in this case, your business. You have to be excited about doing that. Bobby Martins, you're the most excited man on this panel, so let's take it off.
Let's go, guys. Hey, first off, amazing content so far. I've been taking some notes here. Dave, thanks for sharing some of your scripts there. We really appreciate your contribution to the tribe. So, you know, we've talked about this before. Everything starts with your why. I know Mitch is a big proponent of this. And so, you know, today I've actually taken my dream board from my home office and I'm putting it up right here in my work office so that I have it fresh in my mind every single day. Because the other day I looked at this and I said, you know what? Some of these things have been on here for a while. These have been out of my mind and they haven't been at the front of my focus. So I'm putting this right up here. I'm going to look at it every single day. It's going to fire me up and it's going to get me doing the things I need to be doing. So now, first off, if I'm being honest, in a market like this where things are kind of against the grain and, you know, not everybody's like, hey, I want to buy a house or I want to sell a house, I normally would take off. Okay. In my 21-year career, I would look at it and go, you know, when it's busy, work like hell. When it's slow, take the time to build relationships, form new relationships, and play a lot of golf, do the things that you love to do, fill yourself up. Now, the reason why I'm not doing that in this year is because two fundamental reasons. Number one, I have a team counting on me and they can't live without the income. I've got money saved, but maybe they don't. And so for that reason, I am driven to make sure that they are successful hitting their goals. And if I do that for them, then obviously that's going to rub off on my results as well. And so now the second fundamental reason is this is not exactly a bad market. When you look at 2008 compared to now, we were dealing with banks at that point. All we had was foreclosures, short sales. There were very few traditional sellers. When I go back and I look at my sales from 2008 to 2011, almost 90% were foreclosures and short sales. Now, I'm prepared to go there if we need to. I don't think we're there yet. There's lots of people out there with equity
and they're willing to sell the home for 2020 prices or 2021 prices because they have so much equity. And if we do hit a recession where people are really struggling, they're going to cash out on that equity, and they're going to make sure that their family has money. So that's a little bit different market. So I still feel that this is a really, really strong market to work on. Now, that doesn't mean don't work on the relationships and form new ones. In 2008, what I was doing was playing a lot of golf, and I happened to play golf every single week with an asset manager. And guess what? That guy ended up giving me over 100 foreclosures from 2009 to 2011. So the moral of that story is hang out with the right people, spend time with people who are going to enrich your life and motivate you. If you're hanging out with your high school friend who has no drive, no motivation, and is sitting there playing video games, half the time, that's not the kind of person you want to be hanging out with. You want to be hanging out with players, people who are going to be doing stuff in this coming market, investors, things like that. Those are the types of people you want to be hanging around. Now, other things that you want to be focused on, I'm all about niches. I go where the niches are. The riches are in the niches, they say. So there's two niches right now that will be strong and is always strong. And that's the 2 Ds of real estate. I'm not talking about bra size here, guys. I'm talking about death and divorce. There is always death and divorce sales out there. So one of the things you guys should be doing is taking out divorce attorneys, probate attorneys, estate attorneys. Get to know these people. Why? Because boomers are the biggest population that we have out there, and they are in the process of transferring their wealth to the next generation. And it's the biggest wealth transfer of all time. I heard it was like $30 trillion or something like that. So that is a very, very important niche to be working on. And, other than that, it's really going to come down to you separating yourself. If you still have the same pitch, and this is why I really liked what you were saying, Dave, earlier, you're coming at them with a different pitch. You're not just, oh, yes, it's a perfect time to buy. Yes, you should buy. It's always a good time to buy. No, you're analyzing it for them. You're showing them the math. You're really, being a partner in the situation. But the most important thing is don't be attached to the outcome. If you're attached to the outcome, all they're going to do is smell your commission breath. They know all you want is that sale. And so I constantly tell my clients, look, I'm not attached to the outcome here. If you want to sell your house, you want to buy a house, that's on you. I'm here to facilitate and make sure that you get the best possible service. And we're going to guide you through the entire process. I'm not just here to buy or sell a house with you. We are your moving concierge. We're going to help you out with the whole move. You need movers, packers, everything. We're not only going to help you with that, but we're going to get you the solar. We're going to get you the life insurance, the estate plan, all that stuff. We're here to make sure that your family is properly taken care of. And so it's a little different pitch than, hey, let's go buy a house or let's sell a house. And so I think it's really important to really hone in on what your unique selling proposition is. And if you don't have one, you better start thinking about one, because that's what people are wanting. There's 22,000 agents in San Diego. There's a lot of really good agents here. And so why should they hire me over a Peter Middleton, a Dan Beer, a Kyle Whistle, all these great agents? Why should they hire me? And it's not just my marketing plan or our service. It has to be much different than that. For me, it's the 8 ways to sell your house. We have 8 different ways to buy and sell a home at the same time. That's our niche. That's why I'm Move Up San Diego, and that's why we're Move Up Homes nationwide. I'm focusing on a specific niche, and it does really well because it's 2 transactions for every client I work with. I want to sell 100 houses. I need 50 clients to do that. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over.
I love it. I love it. That was good stuff. Bobby, one of the things that you said there that's really the truth, and I'm doing the same thing down here, is we're almost building a relocation company where we handle everything. You want this, we got it. You need that, we have it. And the more that you can offer people, especially for me, because most of my clients are out of town, the more that you can offer them, the easier it is for them to choose. This is the guy. He knows his stuff. He has everything that you can imagine already planned to help, ready to go. And it just makes it so they don't have a choice. They're going to use you no matter what. Now, those are obviously, we're talking about so much stuff today because we're talking about scripts, and then we're talking about moving our own businesses forward. So we have a lot going on, but that was really good that, like you said, you have to keep people going in the direction you want them to go.
Hey Cameron, I
Of course,
don't
Randy.
want to miss Jama's question. Maybe David can take this on because this would be a script related question. I'm going to read it, David. I just had a situation where a buyer sent an offer in one of my listings built in 2021. The offer was $50,000 lower that I have it listed for, and they stated it was because the new builds in the area close by are at that price. What do you do when the builders are pricing things way lower than they were 6 to 12 months ago when you're trying to resell properties in the area? Jama is the one that has this listing.
Hi, Jana, David Lawson. The main thing you need to focus on is what it costs to buy a house, right? So I'm going to use you as the example, okay, Randy? So Randy, and I'm making up numbers, but Jama, you'll understand the concept. So Randy, you bought this house for $1 million and you put in all the drapes and upgrades, and you put in you put in landscaping and all that, right? And the thing is we can sell, when we get this offer that's $25,000 less, what we need to do is we need to go back to the buyer's agent and just explain to them all the things that you have put into this property, since you have purchased it, right? And the thing is I use the takeaway, if you want to go through and you want to spend $20,000, $15,000 on your window coverings and $50,000 on your, landscaping or whatever it is, you put in a hot tub or you did this or that. And the other thing that I do is on new construction, what I do is I have the seller give me a printout of all the upgrades, right? We upgraded this house by $48,150, right? And so the thing is so your potential buyer, they're going to pay $50,000 in upgrades. They're going to pay another $30,000 in this, $20,000 in that, 10 in this. And the thing is that's why this price is so much. It's not $50,000 more. It's $35,000 less than the other properties.
So good, David, because I think you bring up such a good point. And Jama, you actually should go to the builders and pretend as if you have an interested client and ask, hey, if my client were to buy one of these homes, because they always say starting at, right? But no buyer ends up at that number. They end up 50,000 above it usually, right? Because of what David just brought up, all these upgrades. I mean, they will charge you for everything because they're going to give you the bare bones, man, right? They're going to give you the cheapest carpet. They're going to give you everything bare bones. And what I'm guessing your client has is probably better than that. So I totally agree. I think that's such a good point, David. So educate yourself, Jama, and really have a good way of handling that objection then where you're comparing apples to apples. Because I think right now, all that buyer's looking at is the starting price of what the builders are starting at.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't end there.
It's all in the presentation. And the thing is just like this, that, I always say numbers don't lie. Right.
David, that's awesome. Here's a thought pattern that I have literally used with buyers and other agents. And I've done the takeaway as we were talking about earlier. Okay, so here's the question. How soon do you need to be in a home? The builder might have an immediate delivery and it might be a basic bones, but exactly as you said, the upgrades. The point is mine's available now, or do you need to wait? If you need to wait, why aren't you waiting? If you think it's such a great deal, then go do it.
Right.
Why aren't you? So ask them the question, why aren't you? Versus why are you so interested in us? If there's such a better deal, go there. Knock yourself out. Have fun.
And do exactly what Randy asked. So, but don't have you as the listing agent, Jama, do it. Do it as a takeaway. Billy buyer's agent, right? Billy, I want you to do this, and you're going to do a big favor to your client. Go over there and find out what are the upgrades. And here's my list of $48,000 of upgrades. Here's what it costs for land. Here's what this, and this. And then you go tell me if you think that house is going to cost more or less. And the other thing is, what do we know for sure? I don't know anything except one thing. They wrote an offer, Gemma, on your property. That means that they want to move now and they love your house. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got the offer, right? So now what you do is what you're supposed to do as a professional real estate agent. How do you make money in real estate? There's 5 things, and I actually say there's only 4. You have to have a plan.
Did we lose you there, David?
You set appointments with buyers or sellers, and you negotiate. Pardon me?
Dave, do that one more time. You froze there. So do your 1 through 4 again.
Okay, so I always said there's 5 things, there's 5 income producing activities, but I actually bring working with buyers and working with sellers under 1. P, how do you spell plan? Say it to somebody. P is prospect. L, lead follow-up. 2, A, appointments with buyers or sellers. N, negotiating contracts. And when does negotiating stop? When you're closed, right? When you put a property under contract with a buyer or a seller, your negotiations does not stop then. When does it stop? When the deal is done and you're closed, and now you're working on that guy to try to get a referral out of him, right?
And so we have 2 minutes left. I think I would add one more point. And Jama, do the numbers too of how much can your seller sell it for by also at the same time offering a buy down of a credit. So find out what's important to the buyer, right? What interest rate they're getting, what's their monthly payment. And I can guarantee you that you might be able to work out a scenario because the numbers work out always where they can pay the higher price that your seller wants. But if your seller is willing to buy down the rate a bit, the transfer is actually less. So meaning like you can increase the price by 50,000 and then your client gives 10,000 to buy down the rate, you'll be surprised how close the monthly payment will be compared to maybe their current rate buying your house $50,000 less, right? So dig deeper. You got to ask the questions to the agent because you don't have that information. All you have is a pre-approval. So find out a little bit more information, like what interest rate do they have? What are the monthly payment they're trying to achieve? Let me see if I could talk to the seller so I can get your client to that number that they're looking for on the monthly payment, right? So it's no longer a conversation about price. It's a conversation about the monthly payment. Now, all that goes out the window if they're a cash buyer, and then you don't talk about that. You only talk about what David just said.
Yeah. Well, in addition, here's another thing, Gemma, that you can say. If your client buys the house, they can't put the landscaping in the loan. They can't put the window coverings in the loan. There's a lot of things that are going to be out of pocket costs, right? So, these are just things that it's called basic sales. So I hope we've given you some good ideas, and it is 11 o'clock, so or at least
Let's wrap it up. Cameron, take us out, buddy.
That was awesome, you guys. Mitch, we didn't get to you. We'll get to you next week. I apologize. We had so much good stuff. Thank you guys for all being here. Happy New Year's. Next week, we need to get planned on exactly what we're doing. So let's get that set up, everyone. But Happy New Year's, everyone. Thank you for all of that amazing stuff. We have one more question I want to go to before we let it off. Janine asked how she can find role play partners or accountability partners. If anyone in here needs an accountability partner, post it in chat, post it in Workplace. We can help you guys. We can put you together with some people. That's really important for 2023. So if you're looking, connect with us or connect in the chat. We'll get you guys connected. All right, everybody.
Accountability partners make you more money than anything. Yep.
Yeah, bye.
Have a great week,
guys. Have a good one. See ya.